Jim Scully.
Heath for being the third closest house to this quarry. So what I'd like to talk mostly today about is some concerns I have about the way the Planning Commission meeting went and what was going on about that. I was unable to convince the Planning Commission that the portion of the EIR regarding the train noise and quarry noise was inadequate. And just to prove that point, their assertion is that a conversation at 5 feet is equal to a freight train at 100 feet. Now think about that. What I'm saying to you now, does that relate to you as being within 100 feet of a freight train? Okay, okay, I'm also somewhat disturbed.
Jim, if you break our mic, you got to buy it.
Yeah, I'll just run like hell. I'm a little irritated and disturbed that a commission member was much more knowledgeable and concerned with a local trucking firm's ability to keep its trucks properly smogged than with the various chemicals, fine dust, and particulate matters that local residents are going to have to breathe daily 24/7 for the next 50 years. Another commissioner stated he had not fully read the EIR on the night that he made the decision. After ignoring a very strongly worded letter from Caltrans regarding the quarry traffic, 2 commissioners expressed confusion and concern as to why the city of Ione had thus far refused to upgrade any of the affected intersections on Main Street or Preston Avenue. This conversation, after voting to approve the EIR, strongly indicated that neither commissioner grasped the concept that both these roads are state highways and not city streets. While the subject of Caltrans, their first letter advised that if only 1% of the anticipated truck traffic from this project used Twin Cities and Highway 99, that intersection would be unsafe by their standards and unusable. Now, basically, if they have to rebuild it, I think it's pretty reasonable to assume you're going to get a bill in the mail. Now, I strongly disagree with the EIR's position that pumping 182 acre-feet out of the ground will not affect local wells. But let me get back to that a little later. LADA retained a geologist who examined the info in the environmental impact report. The proponent submitted 3 core samples as proof of the absence of NOA, or naturally occurring asbestos. Now, let me clarify here that at no time do I have any memory of anybody saying there's asbestos there. We have always said, have you tested properly? Okay? Keep that in mind, please. The LADA geologist discovered that all 3 samples were from the same borehole. The exact location of this one borehole is not recorded or located on any map in the EIR. So there's no way of knowing where this sample was taken. Per the report, naturally occurring asbestos tends to form along faults and fissures in the rock. There's at least one major fault running through Newman Ridge that, per the report, can be seen in an abandoned clay pit just south of the proposed project. The LADA geologist report states that this fault must be thoroughly mapped, and approximately 30 bore tests would be drilled and marked on the mapped fault if the testing is to approach industry standards. The LADA geologist also stated that if 2 200-foot-plus wells remove 182 acre-feet from the ground, it will quite probably have a very profound effect on local wells, which are only 50 feet deep and on the same aquifer, not like the EIR says. And even if they are on different aquifers, they're lower. As the gentleman said earlier, water flows down. There is no cement or plastic barriers between aquifers. Water can flow freely from one to the other. Again, to achieve current industry standards, the proponent must sample for quality all local wells and water levels so that they can get a decent background information about what was going on before the project, so that we can know if anything was actually, if it's actually being affected. Both EIRs say that basically the numbers that they put out for their trucks, it comes out to about 178 a day. Okay, and that's in their written paperwork. But at the Planning Commission meeting, the proponent's unsworn attorney got up and testified that the number is now 14 with no real explanation, and that number was accepted without question by the Commission. There's a few problems with that. This is a very well-written EIR. The problem is that the information it presents is grossly inaccurate in virtually every area, such as dust, quarry noise, train noise, and traffic, and particularly the job benefit creation. Now, we've been told you've gotten responses to all your questions. If I ask you what time it is, and you tell me blue, yeah, you've responded, but you sure as heck have not answered my question. That's what's going on in the final. They're just responding, they're not answering the questions. And again, I always want both of these documents that they will be held to indicate a very high number of trucks, and at the last minute they change the numbers. I'm highly suspicious of that. Another thing is, we're told, well, mining's in our history. You're right. You're absolutely right. And if you go about 300 yards north of the proposed Edwin Center, you'll find 3 depressions in the ground. That's where 3 young Mexicans were caught with some hot cattle, and they were hanged right on the spot. Now, I'm politically right of Genghis Khan, but I'm not up for killing a man over lifestyle. And the fact that they were not Caucasian indicates to me that maybe there might have been a little bit of racial tension going on there. So we have homicide, we have genocide, and just down the road, we got a house of prostitution. So there's murder, homicide, genocide, and prostitution in our history also. But as bad as these activities are, okay, as horrible as they are, can you go down any road in western Amador County and still see the effects of their activities? They're all long dead and gone and buried. But you drive down any road in western Amador County, you can see an open pit. And yeah, that's our history. Big deal. Let's shut it down like we did with the homicide, genocide, and prostitution. So if this project gets approved, it's going to destroy the quality of life for a lot of people. And I don't think a lot of the folks in Ione understand how close this is going to be. Because as I told the commissioners, in the mornings when the wind is right, I can hear the men at ISP yelling to each other. So this thing about your trains not making noise, that's complete garbage. And let's think about it. A 4,800-foot train, trains break down, people. It happens. So you've got a 4,800-foot train that goes bleh on the track that's crossing both Michigan Bar Road and 104. You're kind of SOL as far as any kind of egress and ingress out of the western end of Ione. So there's a lot of things that need to be looked at much more closely. Like I say, it's very well written, but it is grossly inaccurate. Now, is there anything I can clarify for you?
Board members? Guess not, sir. Thanks,
Thank
Jim.
you.